It is actually time. It is so time.
Isn't it time?
Yeah, I
It's
think
so
it's
time. What's up, everybody? Hello, welcome to Torn Tuesday. This is your weekly dose of all things Hobbit.
Indeed
and
it is.
Lord of the Rings and conventions and 360 VR. Look, I don't know if you can see
Still
right
360.
here on this, in the middle of our thing, is our little 360 camera, and we are live on Facebook in 360. So all the people watching on our regular chat room over at Ustream, we're here live.
Yes, we are quite live. Just having a chit chat with one of the writers of Adventure Time comic books. We were just having a conversation with the guy who does the Adventure Time comic books, and I was just giving him the surprising information about the J.R.R. Tolkien biography film, one of two different biopics that are coming down the pipeline, coming to a theater near you, well, after they shoot the films. Hello, everybody. This is Clifford, your amiable host, Clifford the Big Red Dog, sometimes known as QuickBeam, QuickBeam2000 on Twitter and Instagram, with my amiable co-host, Mr. Justin Sewell.
That's me.
Also known as @Justin's Big Idea. That's Justin's Big Idea on Twitterverse.
Hey,
Hello.
Kieran and Kaylin
Hello.
Griffin are in our Facebook chat room, and they're watching.
Hey, Kieran.
Are you guys watching in VR? Ooh, my hand's over here. Now it's over here.
Oh,
magic.
I wonder what that's going to look like when it's played back. My
Yeah.
hand's over here. No, it's over here because this camera's picking up everything on
What's
the
with
side.
the camera? Scott
Wow,
Ware is
what's going
asking.
on?
So
Hi, Scott.
we're playing around with 360 VR video. We're live streaming here, and we've got. If you're watching on Facebook, we've got the VR camera. But if you're watching on Safari or Internet Explorer or Firefox, I don't think it works. It works on Chrome. If you watch
People
our
still using
Facebook
Firefox?
stream on Google Chrome
Yes.
or on your phone,
On your
use
phone.
use your Facebook app on your
yes.
phone. Don't go to the website through
Ideally.
the browser, but you actually use the Facebook app and you turn it sideways, and you can look all over our studio.
You just move your phone around in a circle, and there you are, getting the actual
Kaylin Griffin says
view.
she only sees Cliff's knees. If you only see Cliff's knees, touch the video and scroll up. You have
You're
to
only looking
touch
at Cliff's knees.
the video. And
Should have worn full-length jeans today.
yeah, serious.
Like
Oops.
everyone's looking at my legs.
Oops.
Oh, these sexy gams. These legs, they know how to stop traffic, ladies and gentlemen.
Neil
These
Monday
legs
says
right
it's working on
here.
the Android app.
These legs know how to stop traffic.
Well,
this
it's
turkey meat right here.
It's 360 video, so they should be able to see it without doing it.
I'm sorry, I'm having fun. I'm having fun because this is fun. The advent of new technology.
It's like he's there. Kieran says it's like I'm there. Look,
Yes,
you can
Kieran,
look all
yeah,
around our
it's like you're really there,
studio.
dude, yeah.
So I'm gonna.
That's
I'm gonna
hilarious.
Check the stream.
We have always built this show around what is the coolest available streaming technology. And hello, it's nice to see Justin upping the game for this new experiment. We're going to be talking a little bit about Justin's upcoming plans to go on a beautiful cross-country road trip. The road to DragonCon. Yes, fantasy fans and also like-minded science fiction fans have been excited as all get out for the upcoming big, huge DragonCon weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. Da, da, da. It's full of cosplayers, very talented people, and well, you know, I've been there many times myself, working with the very talented volunteer staff. Let's give a shout out to Kirsten, Deej, Larry, all the nice people who are working to help support the OneRing.net presence at DragonCon. My heart and soul, love to all these people who are with us on staff at the OneRing.net. All they do is volunteer. They take their own time off of their own jobs, and they spend their own money to go to these conventions and pay for these expensive hotels. Why? To, you know, have all the fans come together. And yes, we will be talking about the dissolution of the actual Tolkien track. There was a track of programming, that's the term. If our audiences from overseas are just joining us, welcome! All international audiences, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome! This is John Oliver tonight. Last week with John Oliver. No, it's not. It's not really, because I don't really talk like John Oliver. I really don't. Not unless I really try. But I don't really want to try. Because no one wants to do John Oliver as well as he can. moving on. So, I'm just glad to have you guys here. Welcome, international audience and domestic audience here in the United States. Justin is going to be visiting a lot of you fans across this beautiful land of the US of A. He will be visiting with cool fans who want to come out of the woodwork and meet him on his much publicized journey across the country, which is what we'll be talking about. There's going to be a lot of mischief.
Hey, look what I found.
It looks like the original Balg design. It's the action figure that was
This
Balg
Balg looks more amazing
before the other Balg.
than any of the digital things. And he looks scarier in the movie.
Yeah.
This guy is frightening.
About to chop
And this is played by
Gandalf's fingers off.
This is played by Conan Stevens. I
Yes.
want to see all
Yes,
the
indeed it
footage
was.
they shot with this guy. They shot the entire movie. I don't know if you guys know this, but they shot the entire movie with the original Balg and
Oh, Lordy.
Azog.
Oh, Lordy. Did they?
Yeah.
Even the scenes where Legolas was fighting with him in Lake Town? Really?
They shot all. Well, that was an extra added scene.
Okay.
That the Lake Town fight was shot in reshoots.
in pickups. Well, yeah, guys, you know.
You see feet. Tiffany, Broadway. Uh-oh, we got another Broadway in the chat room.
Wow, I
Hey,
see
if you're
feet.
if you're just joining us on Facebook again, we're streaming 360
Whose
video.
feet? My feet?
So, why are people calling me?
Yeah, someone's calling you on your
So
phone.
make sure that you
How
you
dare
tap,
they?
you scroll, touch the video,
Hi, Stephanie.
and scroll up. Scroll, like you can look around, and if you turn your phone sideways, you can look all around our studio right now and see it. I see Stephanie in the chat room. I see Tiffany
Hello,
in the
Neil.
Facebook.
Oh, look, there's Neil. Hello, Neil. Hello, everybody. Hello, Kaylin Griffin, and hello, Dave, and my sister. Yes, actually, my blood and kin. My younger sister, Tiffany, is there in the
Oh
chat
my goodness,
room.
really?
Yeah, it's like having the full family reunion on every show here on Torn Tuesday.
My immediate sister's name is Tiffany.
What? Since when?
She is
Since when?
She is 3 years younger than me.
Really?
Yes.
My sister's a lot younger than me. A lot younger.
A lot younger?
Yeah.
3
She
years?
is. No. Tiffany? I think she's about 12 years younger than me.
Oh wow.
Tiffany, how you like 12 or 13 years younger than me?
My mom had 4 kids within 8 years.
Wow.
Just pumped them out.
Like the Duggar family. No, nothing
Well,
like the
no,
Duggars,
no one's like the Duggars.
No one's like that, thank God, for simple truths.
Yeah.
Anyways, how about this? Nicholas Holt in talks to play J.R.R. Tolkien. Oh my gosh. A big reveal to a lot of people. Not if you were with us last week. Or if you were with us the week before, then you know this news already. But, you know, people do wake up every morning and realize, wait a minute, they're going to make a biography about Tolkien? Yes, it's inevitable. Not one, but two. 2 different Tolkien films, and we all wonder what they're going to be like. Mr. Justin, so while you were over there adjusting some camera work behind the scenes,
Yes.
I was encouraging the audience to follow along with you. When does your road to DragonCon begin officially?
Thursday.
And you're going to go and see the eclipse, the mighty solar eclipse.
I'm going to the most northern spot in the highest elevation in the country that is in the direct line of the darkest part.
Washington State?
No, the highest elevation is actually in the Grand Tetons.
In the Grand Tetons.
So
Wow.
I'm going to Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons, and,
So
and
cool.
I'm going to camp out in the wilderness in the Grand Tetons so I can be in the darkest part at the highest elevation.
Will Grimlock be with you guys?
I think, yeah, he's coming
Oh, good.
separately. He's actually,
Good.
I think
That's
he's
great.
already up there.
Oh, that's so good. He's the best.
Yes.
I'm going to miss this camping trip, but I'm also going to miss the chance. I'll virtually come into the show and be part of the stream as I can, as much as I possibly can.
Yes.
But you guys can also come in virtually and be part of the footage. Justin's going to be giving you guys footage all the way across the country. Whoa, was that my own voice in the background? Wow.
Yes.
Did you hear an angel speak in the distance? How about that, Mr. Justin? We are looking forward to the road to DragonCon, and for all of you folks joining us, welcome to the OneRing.net. Yeah, we're talking about the biggest fantasy convention coming up in North America. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, coming up right around the corner, early September weekend, Labor Day weekend. And guess what? Boom, ba-dum, boom, boom. It's going to be an awesome experience, and we'll have Tolkien stuff and Lord of the Rings stuff in the fantasy programming, but there is no longer an official Tolkien track. There is no longer the distinction of having a dearly held community space which was dedicated to only J.R.R. Tolkien and other things. It's all been quite the brouhaha. It has been approached at different levels of controversy, although I'm sure some people would like me to put that word to bed and not call it controversial, but it was. And here we are. We're going to bring really good Tolkien content. Lots of dedicated staff from theonering.net will be there, including Deej, Rebecca, our Deej, and our very fabulous Larry and Kirsten.
Green Dragon.
Green Dragon, Kirsten.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Mr. Justin as well. So you'll get lots of love and lots of theonering.net. We will have a table down there in our usual spot, right? We'll be representing ringers left and right. So even though we don't have a Tolkien track, we do have our very own experienced staff bringing the community together. Will it be the very last nighttime in Bree, an evening in Bree?
We are not guaranteed anything.
So there's no
after
evening
this
event.
year.
Right, but this 1 year.
This is the last.
This 1 year.
Until we get renewed.
Wow.
So the evening at Bree, everything. Yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen.
Wowzer. Wow. The times, they are changing. Anyways, that's what's happening. We're very much looking forward to your trip, Mr. Justin. What are the highlights you're most looking forward to?
I don't know yet.
Besides the eclipse, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just wanna like hit the road and see what's going on in this country.
Yes, really. Oh, gee, I wonder what's going on in this country.
Yeah. Look,
I wonder what's going on in this country.
Everyone wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
You see what's happening on the news. Like
Oh my
supposedly
gosh.
they're planning a big thing in Detroit this weekend.
They're planning a
And
big
then-
thing in Venice Beach this weekend. There are many
and then
concurrent
Chicago.
cities that are
Yeah,
having big events this
The
weekend.
country is on the country's on fire right now.
I would say that's
And
fire and fury.
So this is
Must
gonna
be
an
Daenerys'
interesting-
dragons. It must be something. I don't know what it is. Maybe we're dealing with an unprecedented a cultural schism. You know, what do we learn from Tolkien about pluralism? I want to ask the audience out there, since we are in the middle of a very hot point political moment in our country.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, since we're talking about J.R.R. Tolkien and the lessons learned from The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and this amazing secondary world, what do we learn about racial cooperation from the Fellowship? What do we learn about pluralism from the Fellowship? What do we learn about people who have very, very different ideas put into situations that they don't want, and then finding the common humanity? What kind of things do we learn like that from the powerful storytelling in Tolkien? Do you see
Yeah.
where I'm going with this, guys? I think you might. I think you might be able to pick up on a little bit of what this wavelength is. You know what I'm saying? Even when faced with the enemy, one of the Easterlings, one of the Southrons from the Haradraith, and the young soldier falls dead at Faramir's feet, and Faramir looks at him in the film, in The Two Towers, and says, I wonder what lies were told to this young man to make him fearful, to make him leave his family, to make him leave his home, and to leave all that's familiar and come so far across to distant lands to face, death in this way. And he's like, and he actually said, without all of this, would we have known each other? Could we have been friends instead of enemies? Well, this was interior dialogue that Samwise thinks to himself. In the book, Samwise has this internal dialogue regarding the great differences that make this huge gulf between us as human beings. Very adroitly, that dialogue was put into David Wenham's mouth as Faramir, captain of the Rangers of Ithilien. Faramir has this amazing wisdom that is shared with the audience the way it was shared with the readers when they read the original. There's wisdom for us as Tolkien fans within Tolkien himself. There's so much wisdom in there for us when we're caught in these very tense and ugly moments of racial tension and division, and cultural division between us. I think we should look at the lessons of pluralism that is within the Fellowship especially. How the hell that Legolas and Gimli got over their differences to not only become compatriots, but to become friends, ultimately down There's just complete racism and ugly biased attitudes between elves and dwarves working on both sides of that cultural divide. But what does it take for two people who come from these polarizing points of view to become Legolas and Gimli, the people we love, the characters who learn to respect and understand each other differently, even though they come from really opposing political and, cultural points of Middle-earth? What do we learn from Tolkien about this?
Neil asks if you could apply one Tolkien quote or passage to the horrendous events of this week in the UK, what would it be? What happened in the UK this week?
In the UK?
We're kind of upset. We're kind of in the US, and we're obsessed with the U. We got enough going on in the US. I don't know. Oh, he means in the US. Look, I was reminded of Tolkien's letters to his German publisher in I believe it's 1939, 1941.
Let's look at our 3-minute Tolkien.
And
see if we can find a quick quote to that.
Let's remind everybody
that
today this is the 80th anniversary year of the publishing of The Hobbit. So
yes.
1935. 1935. We are in a Great Depression here in America. World War II has not started yet, but the Nazis are a significant political force in Germany, and so a lot of the Nazi group, youth, and basically, by some accounts, the second largest market for The Hobbit was in Nazi Germany. So outside of the UK, Tolkien's words actually connected with the Nazi Germany audience, and so the publishers, under threat from the Nazi government, wrote a letter to Tolkien, asking if he could verify his ancestry and that there was no Jewish blood in his lineage. So Tolkien was asked by his own German publisher whether he was part Jewish.
Yeah,
and
whether he
that
was
would
to prove his German his Aryan ancestry.
Because the government was removing all books and all literature that had anything connected to Jewish ancestry and Jewish literature. This is huge, right? This is all remnants of what can be going on right now. And so Tolkien actually responded, and that's what Cliff's looking up now. If you're watching in our 360 stream, you can see him actually look through the book.
Yes, I'm looking through the book right now. I'm digging through here.
Hello, Kate. Everything that's going on in the country, it's not just this week. It's been going on for the last year. We're in August right now. So I think Trump had won the nomination, or had locked in the nomination by now a year ago. So basically we've been, in with Trump, for a solid year now. And this is the rhetoric this is the country that type of rhetoric creates. It's a lot of negative energy. There's a lot of questioning each other, and Tolkien had a very you love that word, erudite response.
Yes, he had a very erudite response,
as only Tolkien can. And so Cliff's looking that up. But
let's see.
It's an interesting time here. So that's why I'm I was already excited about doing a little road trip across America. Look, I just wanted to. I was already going to go to Yellowstone for the eclipse. We're going to go to the Grand Tetons. We talked to I have two friends that work at JPL over here in Pasadena, NASA JPL.
Yeah.
And they actually gave me the map, the official NASA map of where the most the direct line of darkness is going to be for the eclipse next Monday. And so at 11:18 a.m. in the morning next Monday will be the eclipse. I'm going to be in the Grand Tetons, which will be the highest elevation in the darkest part of the eclipse. I can't wait to be there. And then after that, we've decided to go up to Glacier National Park because my friends at NASA also said that the glaciers in Glacier National Park are expected to be mostly melted by 2025. So I'm going to go up to Glacier National Park, which is 7 hours north of Yellowstone, near the Canadian border, and I'm going to climb and hike one of the last glaciers before it melts.
Yes, that's going to be really, really important because they're going to have to rename it Glacier National Park. They're going to have to call it something else.
Yeah. Sarah remembers the Torn show where we talked about this. We had a whole show dedicated to Tolkien and the Nazis, and we had a very great discussion and debate over the impact and influence. Look, because all people of all different perspectives and walks of life find their own reason to enjoy Tolkien's stories.
Applicability.
Yes.
Yes, that's what it's called. This is interesting from IO9. What is classier than J.R.R. Tolkien telling off Nazis? Absolutely nothing. 1938, Professor Tolkien was in talks with the British publishing house.
That's right.
To get the German edition of The Hobbit out there in a German language edition. And then everything was going smoothly when suddenly the publisher demanded proof of Tolkien's Aryan heritage.
Not proof of his Aryan heritage,
yes.
Proof that he didn't have any Jewish heritage.
Proof of his Aryan heritage. This rankled Tolkien so much that he wrote to his friend and publisher Stanley Unwin and said, personally, like, do I suffer this impertinence because of the possession of a German name? Because Tolkien is a German surname. Or do their lunatic laws require a certificate of Irish origin from all persons of all countries? Personally, I should be inclined to refuse and let a German translation go hang. That's what Tolkien said in private to his publisher. But then he drafted 2 letters, okay? One that ignored their request entirely, and then B, a second letter which had all these sly digs at them, pointing out what kind of idiots they were in believing in the race doctrine of Aryan nationals, right? So this is the interesting one. That was dated July 25th, 1938. Here are the words of J.R.R. Tolkien, right here. Thank you for your letter. He's writing back to the German publisher. I regret that I'm not clear as to what you intend by Irish. I am not of Aryan extraction. That is Indo-Iranian. As far as I am aware, none of my ancestors spoke Hindustani, Persian, Gypsy, or any related dialects. But if I'm to understand that you are inquiring whether I am of Jewish origin, italicized by Professor Tolkien, I can only reply that I regret that I appear to have no ancestors of that gifted people. My great-great-grandfather came to England in the 18th century from Germany. The main part of my descent is therefore purely English, and I am an English subject, which should be sufficient. Period. I have been accustomed to, nonetheless, to regard my German name with pride, continue to do so throughout the period of the late regrettable war, in which I served in the English army. I cannot, however, forbear to comment that if impertinent and irrelevant inquiries of this sort are to become the rule in matters of literature, then the time is not so far distant when a German name will no longer be a source of pride. Boom! Oh, that was good. And then he says, your inquiry is doubtless made in order to comply with the laws of your own country, but this should be held to apply to the subjects, but the fact that this should be held to apply to the subjects of another state would be improper, even if it had, as it has not, any bearing whatsoever on the merits of my work or its sustainability for publication, of which you appear to have satisfied yourselves without reference to my Abstammung, which is a German word for heredity. Wow. And in a private correspondence to his son in 1941, Tolkien summed up Adolf Hitler as a, quote, ruddy little ignoramus, unquote. And also said something about, I don't want to have any part of their pernicious race doctrine, which he also said yeah, here it is. To his publisher, he said, "I have many Jewish friends, and I regret giving any color to the notion that I subscribe to this wholly pernicious and unscientific race doctrine." That's what Tolkien had to say about... Well, how about that? Is that a strong enough worded disavowal? Is that what we're talking about? Is that what someone in the White House needs to say to disavow?
But what was
white
he
nationalists?
saying? But what Tolkien was saying is like, I reject your question.
Yeah, he was saying, I don't think you should even judge the merits of my work at all. You know, if you're going to keep behaving like this, you're going to make being a German an embarrassment. He really had a lot of fun digging at them.
What were the last couple lines of that? What was the last couple sentences of that?
Of that, what? His response to his publisher?
Yes.
Oh, well, in his response to his publisher, he said, at the very last bit, I have many Jewish friends. I do not regard the absence of all Jewish blood as necessarily honorable. I should regret giving any color to the notion that I subscribe to this wholly pernicious and unscientific race doctrine. That's what he said to his publisher.
That's right. Wholly unscientific. So, now let's relate that to current events. You have a Google engineer that basically cites science, claims that there's a scientific genetic inferiority for certain tasks between certain genders and races. And Tolkien...
He said he was talking about genders, and that Google engineer who got fired was talking about...
just genders.
Just gender.
Yeah.
Well...
But you hear some of the conversations that were happening at the rally in Charlottesville this weekend, and you can hear, that they hold the same opinions, but not just across genders, but across culture and race. Like, it's not just race. It's like they have things against Jewish people, and I don't understand. I don't understand where these guys learn this stuff, because they're learning it on the internet. And you've seen some of the parents actually publicly say, "I disavow my son. He did not learn that here in this family."
Yep. I remember. I read that.
So Kim Jong-ik says, "Do you think the publisher only asked because they didn't fancy investing in a book that might be banned?" It was already out. It was already a huge success.
The Hobbit was published in England.
Germany.
No, in England. This was about the first German publication. This was about the first German language edition
of The Hobbit.
Yes, which had yet to appear in German. And they wanted proof. It was 1938.
I thought it was already out, and with the new Nazi regime, they were going back to the author and saying, "Hey, we don't want to pull your books, so just let us know."
No, he was in talks with Berlin publishing house Rutten and Leuning to release a German language edition of The Hobbit. And that would be the first. That would be the very first.
Sandra Nesbitt just joined the chat room. Welcome to Facebook. We're streaming in 360. If you're watching on your phone, you can just touch the screen and just move the camera up around, or turn your phone sideways and look around. You should be able to find the right spot. You can see our whole studio. You can see all the pop vinyls that we have here.
Yes, we do.
So, this 360 stuff is really interesting. Kaylin Griffin says, "Well said," to the professor. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We're in 360. So, I was already excited because we've done this road trip 3 times before.
And it's always exciting.
You guys, a lot of you discovered us through the road trips and streaming through the road trips. So I was already excited about going on another adventure, going to some cities I've never been to. Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah.
I've never been that far north. I've never been to Glacier National Park. I've never been north of Yellowstone, and I've never been north of the things in the faces, the president faces.
You mean Mount Rushmore?
Rushmore.
You mean but that's where we went on our tour.
Yeah, that's the most north I've ever gone. So I'm going an extra north. I'm going to Glacier National Park. I'm going to climb.
That was a good one.
One of the glaciers that they expect to be fully melted by 2025. That's just 7 short years away.
That is very, 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 very quick and remarkable melting of these glaciers.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I guess global warming is just a hoax invented by the Chinese to mess up our economic policy.
I don't know where that comes from, but I was already.
I know, I'm being sarcastic.
I was already interested in this,
Sarcastic.
in going around the country and meeting fans and seeing places I haven't seen before because because why not? But then
Let's open up Skype.
But then this happened. But then this weekend happened in a random city called Charlottesville,
North Carolina.
and Virginia, wasn't it?
Virginia, excuse me.
Yeah. So, like, it's going to be the next 3 weekends, which is, I leave Thursday. The next 3 weekends are going to be really intense around the country.
And you're going to be driving around in the middle of this.
It's cities big and small.
Yeah.
Sandra
Thank you,
says,
Vicky.
I'm just a little old. Just scrolling is easier than turning around. Yes, it is. Yeah, you can just, like, scroll around.
It's true.
Kaylin Griffin, where are you in the country? Am I coming around your parts? Like, tell me if I'm coming around. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm starting here, Hollywood. I'm going to go north to Yellowstone and then Glacier National Park. And we're going to go straight across Montana into North Dakota and then Minnesota.
To get to Yellowstone, do you go through Utah?
Go through Utah,
Okay,
Salt
so
Lake City.
You leave California, go up through Salt Lake City.
I'll be at Salt Lake City on Friday,
All right.
Friday morning.
Guys, any of the Ringer fans out there in the Salt Lake area, hey, bring it. It's time to have a moot and meet with Mr. Justin and have, like, you know, have a chance to have a beer, break bread together, and talk about stuff together. This is going to be a good opportunity. It'll be your first major city after leaving California that you arrive in.
Salt
Okay.
Lake City.
Okay. All right.
So, and then we go to Minnesota and State Fair, and then Chicago, and then Cleveland, and then from Cleveland it's just a straight shot down to Atlanta through Louisville and Memphis. No, Nashville. Go through Nashville and Chattanooga.
I'm so envious. I want to go.
And then from Atlanta, we'll be in Dragon Con until Monday.
Hi, Pete.
The 1st. And then from Dragon Con, I've always wanted to go to Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm going to make an effort to go to Graceland.
That's fun.
And I want to go to Jesse James's house in Kansas City. And then...
Ooh, that'll be good.
Yeah. Oh, we got a call on the hotline.
Hey, look, who's there?
Hi.
It's Sarah. Hey, Pippin. What's up? Guys, look, it's Pippin on Skype. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm sorry I didn't get to visit you when I was in California, but that would have been a little bit too much of a journey.
Oh, no,
you
I know.
were so close to us.
So close. So far away, but so close.
It was 3 hours away.
3 hours is relatively close where you are now.
But the day before, I had just been at a wedding in Atascadero, which is 3 hours north of LA, and it took 7 hours just to get back to San Diego.
Oh, I would have loved to see you.
You could have driven through here on your way south.
Oh, well.
I wasn't the one driving.
Wait,
well,
where
okay.
are you right now? Are you in Minnesota?
I'm at home.
Where's home?
Minnesota.
Where in Minnesota?
I'm just north of St. Paul, maybe about an hour north.
I'm going to Cold Spring. You know where that is?
Yes, I know where that is, roughly.
Yeah, I'm staying in Cold Spring. And then from Cold Spring, I want to go to the Minnesota State Fair because Sweet Martha is at the Minnesota State Fair, and I really need to have my first Sweet Martha cookie.
Sweet Martha cookies.
If you're ready to stand in line for about 45 minutes, yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm ready. I am driving 20 hours to sit in line for Sweet Martha's cookies. You guys don't understand. Sweet Martha is a local legend in Minnesota.
Yes.
What do you think?
It is.
You're giving me this weird look, like.
Doing your... Oh, no, I'm looking up where Cold Springs is.
Cold Springs.
So Sweet Martha makes cookies, and she only makes them
Oh,
during the Minnesota State Fair, which is 12 days long, and she sells about 12 million cookies in 12 days. She is a legend.
I want to try one now. You going to save one for me?
They sell them by the bucket. I am totally bringing cookies back.
As long as they don't melt in your truck on the way back.
To get back.
Yeah, do not let them melt on your drive back.
Oh, well, I'm bringing a cooler. Don't
Okay,
you worry.
Okay, it's going to be great. It's lovely to hear from you tonight, dear.
Cold Springs is about 2 hours west of me.
2 hours
If I was
west.
going back to, if I hadn't graduated from school in the spring, you'd have been like 20 minutes away from me, because that's just south of St. Cloud.
So,
oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh! So if we left Cold Spring and drove east, we could meet up with you on our way to the Minnesota State Fair.
You'd have to drive straight east.
That's fine. What else do I got to do? I'm just driving.
I can't promise anything. Well, it's going.
You live on a lake, don't you?
Yes.
That's awesome. We could do Torn Tuesday from your house and flip the script.
That could be fun.
If you don't mind having very bad internet.
Everyone in the chat room says buy some cookies for you. Yeah.
Buying some cookies, yes. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I'm so excited. Hey, we'll definitely be in touch, because if I'm around your area, we will make the effort.
Okay, yeah. We can see how that goes. Yeah, you'd probably have to go through, I don't know, you'd be going down areas that I work in, but I could always make the effort to show up somewhere.
That's sweet.
You
That's
said
super
you said
sweet.
St. Cloud?
St. Cloud is where I went to school.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I live an hour and a half east.
That's not too bad.
An hour and a half east.
Yeah, that's not too bad. My sister bought a house in Cold Springs, Minnesota, on the internet, sight unseen.
Oh,
Like, the first time she saw the house is when she moved to it. Crazy, crazy girl.
I wish I could be on this trip so that we could, have a picnic and hang out and visit. I would love that, but
Hey, Scott.
alas.
Well, it's great to see you. Great to hear you.
Yes.
I'm glad you're watching the show more often. It's emptier without you.
well, thank you.
Yeah, it's great to see you, hon. Very good indeed.
Thanks for calling in.
Good to see you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll catch up soon, okay, love?
I
Bye
love.
for now.
All right, Tiffany Jenkins says, "Gotta go. Dinner time. See ya."
Okay.
Hey, awesome. So
Dinner time.
I'm gonna stream as much as possible with this crazy cool VR camera. I'm gonna try to mount it to my truck. Hopefully that doesn't make people sick.
How did you manage to get a separate... Oh, I see. You are connecting it to your phone, but not with a direct connection. You've got a separate cable now.
Yeah.
That allows you the chance to tape it to this rig and move it anywhere you want to move it.
Hey Scott, what happened to the Instagram feed? Good question. We are experimenting with a 3D camera. You can see it right here.
Will it work on Instagram too?
And so it's not working on Instagram yet, but the app that we can only stream to Instagram through the app. So, and I can only stream on 360 with the phone. So I had to use the same device. So I couldn't do both. It was one or the other. No Instagram while we're doing 360. So we're testing this 360 out, and for the road trip that starts on Thursday night. Northerner says Minnesota has 10,000 lakes, and everybody lives on a lake. You're absolutely right.
Yes, that's true.
You're from Minnesota? No, neither of us from Minnesota. But our friend Pippin that just called in is from Minnesota. Use Cliff's phone. We used Cliff's phone last week, and he wasn't happy with it because it made his phone very hot. And it might break his phone. Scott, gonna try to be out in LA in November. Hope I can swing by on a Torn Tuesday for the show. Absolutely. Scott, if you're coming to LA and you're here on a Tuesday, make your way to Meltdown Comics. We'll be here and we'll do a show with you. Yeah, please come on the show. This Meltdown Comics is open to the public, and we appreciate everybody that comes in and wants to crash the show. We just had John Ruddy from Ireland.
No, yes, that was a great show.
That was a great show. So, hey, Clark asks, any news on the Tolkien biopics? Yeah, we've got some new information. Well, it's not new information, a couple weeks old, but it looks like Beast might be J.R.R. Tolkien. There's 2 movies out. There's one being produced by the former studio heads of New Line Cinema. Remember, the studio that made Lord of the Rings was Peter Jackson. So Bob Shea and Michael Lynn are making a movie about Tolkien. And then there's a separate movie. I believe this one is at Fox or Paramount. No, I think it's at Fox. That is going to star Nicholas Hoult, and it's got a Swedish director attached, a very, very, very popular Swedish director. So there's 2 movies to looking forward to, and they should be filming, and they might even be out by Christmas season next year.
Next year? That's a fast track for those productions. Hey, look at that.
Justin, San Antonio has the Tower of Americans and the Alamo.
Here's Cliff's phone. Hey, Scott.
The Alamo? Why would I want to go to the Alamo?
There's no basement in the Alamo. Even Pee Wee Herman knows that.
I think we're skipping Texas this trip because what I want to do after Dragon Con is I want to go to Memphis, Tennessee and Graceland. I'm obsessed with Elvis, and I really want to go to Graceland.
That's hilarious.
And then from Graceland, I want to go to Kansas City where Jesse James had his final house and the one he was shot in.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've ever seen the movie The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, starring Brad Pitt,
Yep.
and what's his name? Yeah. Casey Affleck. That is basically the entire true story. There are very, very, very few liberties taken with the story. Whatever happens in that movie, in the time frame that it happened, that's actually how it went down. And every historian that I've talked to about the legend of Jesse James says that the movie with Brad Pitt is as accurate as it gets. It might as well just be a documentary. So really? I can't wait. Hey, Kaylin Griffin, where are you? I missed your response earlier. You say you're here too. Where are you? Hey, what do you guys think about the new McFarlane spoof on Star Trek called The Orville? I don't like Star Trek. I've never liked any of those space TV shows. But Cliff, do you have an opinion on The Orville?
No, I do not have an opinion on The Orville yet. But if did you say McFarlane?
Seth MacFarlane.
As in Seth, not Todd.
Yeah.
Not Spawn comic books, Todd McFarlane. But talking about Seth MacFarlane, well, he wanted to spoof Western movies, like the Jesse James Western classic that you just talked about.
San Antonio.
And he did a very, very poor job of spoofing Western films with, you want to spoof the Westerns? Go back to Blazing Saddles. Okay?
God, you sound like an old man. You sound like my dad.
I do. I really do. I'm just saying, you know what? It's all about Mel Brooks. He did spoofs. Oh my gosh, that's how you do spoofs. But anyways, 1,000 Ways to Die in the West was a big failure. It was a million. 1,000,000 Ways to Die in the West also represented 1,000,000 Ways to Dies at the U.S. box office. So I'm not quite so sure about what Seth MacFarlane is doing with feature films or other shows, because sometimes it's really quite questionable. Hey, I'm the one guy in the room who didn't like Ted. Okay? I'm the guy in the room who didn't even go to see Ted 2. Just saying.
So you really don't like this guy?
No, I love Family Guy. I love Family Guy, and I love all kinds of funny shows that he does. The animated American Dad and the Cleveland Show. Great, it's really fun. Great stuff. But and I know some of those animators who work on those shows. But some of his other efforts that are live action, I don't know. Orville seems like a funny Star Trek, says Sarah Vorhauer in our chat room. Discovery is going back to gritty Star Trek. Oh, well, that will be the new Discovery Star Trek series, which CBS is launching on its subscriber-only service.
That's right. It's no one's gonna see it because it's gonna be on a pay service that no one pays for.
Yeah,
they'll have like a 90-day trial and everyone will watch it, just like they did with Handmaid's Tale on Hulu.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott wants to know, did you hear that one of the Tolkien biopics will be the story of Tolkien and his friends going on some quest, like Lord of the Rings?
No, I have not heard any details about the second Tolkien film. I'd like to do some digging, do a little bit more research, which is what I should have done before the show started. But what I've been hearing most about is the connection between Dome, how to pronounce his name, he's Finnish. His name's Dome, or Dome Karakuski. I can't say it right, but he's the director doing the one with Nicholas Hoult, starring as the young man going off to war in World War I.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a Dunkirk kind of feeling, even though that was a World War II movie, but I've got a feeling that we're going to get this, wartime, young Tolkien kind of film from this guy, Dome Karakuski, who notoriously directed the award-winning biography about Tom of Finland, the
Yes.
Gay erotic artist, the famous provocateur of the art world from the 70s and 80s.
I tell you,
and
what?
that movie hasn't even been released in America yet. It was only released in
Yeah,
Europe.
no, it was.
Yeah.
It was earlier this summer. I remember seeing it at.
Oh well,
Arclight.
then the home videos have not been released yet.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
But I will say this: that Tolkien has only been represented one other time on film, and that was in Shadowlands, the story of C.S. Lewis. And
Without it being Tolkien in name.
Well, they couldn't get the family wouldn't give the movie the rights to the Tolkien name, so they could call him Tolkien. So they called him a different name. But I really loved Shadowlands, starring Anthony Hopkins. It's your classic love story, and I think there's something magical about a movie like that. When was the last time you saw just a straight up good romantic love story movie that wasn't like cheesy Matthew McConaughey or Reese Witherspoon, or like Broken Marriage, Pretty Little Liars? Like, I just want a good love story, right? I think Tolkien's biopic, especially with Nicholas Hoult, could be a kind of Notebook style, just great romantic movie.
It could be a classic.
I would really appreciate a romantic film about J.R.R. Tolkien and his wife Edith, because
Me too.
Because how much of the story in Tolkien and how much of the Lord of the Rings is based around his relationship with his wife? Significant amounts. That theirs is a love that is deep.
They're not the Lord of the Rings, and it's meat and potatoes, but like the Beren and Luthien story is inspired by his relationship with his wife, and that carries over to the Aragorn and Arwen story, which mirrors that. You know what? I'm intrigued by how the audience has loved the theory of everything. When you're talking about a biopic that does a really good job of recreating England at that certain period of time, I'm so into this. This is going to be really cool.
Someone on the chat said they just watched Pete's Dragon and they didn't like it, and it doesn't compare to the original. And I disagree. I loved Pete's Dragon.
Really?
I loved that Faramir is in it. No, Éomer is in it.
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban is in it. I love the new dragon. I love the story. I think it's relevant. It's topical. It introduces the story of Pete's Dragon to a new generation. I've got. Thankfully, I don't have kids, but I have nieces and nephews, and they're growing up, and they just don't connect with those old Chitty Chitty Bang Bang movies or Incredible Mr. Lippin, even Mary Poppins. They're like they don't connect with old classic animation, and Pete's Dragon is definitely like nothing relevant to anybody is in Pete's Dragon. It features an old West type society that doesn't exist anymore and does not look like anything anymore. So I love the new Pete's Dragon. I did.
It has an Old West, but they're on the coast, by the way.
They're on the coast.
They're on the coast in a lighthouse with a lighthouse.
Yeah, that's right.
But it does still feel like you're in an Old West type.
Right.
I don't know how they managed to do that, but yes, that's funny.
Scott says, I would think it would be hilarious to have Tolkien trying to tell his wife about his story of Middle Earth and her telling him to stop being a fool and she's tired of hearing of all the hobbits and orcs. Hey, are there actually... that's a great question.
That sounds good.
Are there any letters of note from Tolkien? Is there anything in the written record that we know of Tolkien where his wife was not a fan?
No, there's no evidence of that anywhere. No. In fact, the opposite has been shown in documentation. That she supported him when he came home from the war and he was convalescing. She would sit at his bedside and help him transcribe and write And it's really fabulous. No, she was always very supportive of him. And there's nothing ever to indicate otherwise. No. So that's why that joke that she made was a funny joke, because it's obviously not
Is
true.
there any is there any indication which of the Middler stories was his wife's favorite?
No, we don't know. That's interesting. Boy, to be a fly on the wall and to have learned something about that. I mean, there's plenty of opinions about what Christopher Tolkien and Priscilla Tolkien and the other children, John and the other guy, you know, it's like, yeah, they talked about what they loved most from their father's imagination. Actually, I think Priscilla was most enamored with the Father Christmas letters. And they are beautiful. The Father Christmas letters is one of the best storytelling conceits that Tolkien came up with to fool his children every Christmas, that Father Christmas was actually sending these letters.
Huh.
And it was like beautifully illustrated, and he did watercolors on them, and he had languages and this great little, you know, funny little adventures that happened with Polar Bear and the goblins and Father Christmas. They have all these goofy adventures, and his kids were enraptured with, oh, another letter came in the post, all the way from the North Pole. And Tolkien was so clever in designing the conceit of the envelopes and the artwork and the consistent elements of, and there was some Tengwar lettering, there was some Elvish script that showed up in some of those things. It was really cool. And I remember his daughter saying that was the storytelling that she was so enamored with when she was a little girl. He was quite good at entertaining his kids, and his interest in storytelling to young people fueled his creation of The Hobbit. Completely. I mean, The Hobbit was part of the story that he was telling to his kids, you know, and he would practice reading chapters to his kids while they went to bed at night. You know, he loved it. Tolkien was a great dad. Great dad. Like, coffee mug dad of the year. J.R.R. Tolkien was the dad of the year for all those years. Yeah. And,
But he has a reputation of being an old man grump.
A tweedy Oxford professor?
Yeah.
Well, he was grumpy about other things, like French cooking. He was really grumpy about the politics that were going on behind the scenes at Oxford, okay? Things like that. And he was constantly destroyed by his publisher's attitude that they didn't want the Silmarillion and they would not publish the stuff that was dearest to him. So his wife and his family supported him 100%. Professionally, he wanted the Silmarillion to get out there and tell the world this mythology, but it never happened. He could never get it into a form into which it was publishable. You know? So he was a great guy, I think. Tolkien was all about storytelling to the younglings. But restart your device.
So is it possible that the reason it took so long to write The Lord of the Rings, between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, was what, 15 years? 12 years?
Oh, wait. Between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
It estimates in between a 17-year period.
So do you think
including publication time.
It took that long to write and publish Lord of the Rings because he was busy being a dad? Do you think it was just? Do you think his wife was like, put your stories aside, help with the chores?
No. Oxford University was put your stories aside, do your academic work, and get these kids through university, because that's what we're paying you for. And Tolkien was like, I've got to pay the rent and feed my family. So, you know, he all went to work. He stayed with his head down, focused on his work. The extra money that he got from the amazing sales of The Hobbit, that was a boon, because he was not making enough money in the academic life to support his family. So it was an incredible boon to all of a sudden have a bestseller out there, you know?
Yeah. So I'm now interested in stories of Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien's life, I wish at some point Christopher Tolkien would stop revising and republishing stories that have already been out there, although we do love the story of Kullervo and the recent republishing of Beren and Luthien. But I would love a book written by Christopher Tolkien about what it was like growing up Tolkien.
I like that idea. Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's what I'm really interested in.
That's a good
what
idea.
was the family dynamic growing up around all these stories? And I
He
get
should
it.
co-write it with his sister while they're both still alive.
I know.
Priscilla and Christopher should get together and share
this
their
is what
memoirs of life in the Tolkien
And
home.
I think part of it is.
I like that idea.
I think part of it is a lot of families do not want to ruin the mythology around the creation myth. right?
Yeah.
You know, there's this creation myth that the stories are born out of his genius. When you know, you've written books and you've written movies and screenplays that no, there's a gem of an idea, but it's actually work and revisions. Good idea, bad idea, throw it away, test it out. Like, there's an actual writing process to writing these books.
Yes.
It's not, and I think, you know, I wish Christopher Tolkien and his sisters would write the book of like what it was like growing up Tolkien, like, because I don't think that story would diminish the mythology and the magic and the genius of Tolkien.
No, it wouldn't. In fact, it would. But you know, they're so private. I mean, like Howard Hughes, private. That family is like lockdown privacy. They don't want to tell their story. Although I agree with you, that would be a fabulous bit of
Scott wants to know what's up with Royd Tolkien's latest Facebook post. Royd is kind of a rebel energy of the Tolkien family.
What is his recent Facebook post? I haven't seen it.
He's been painting rude, crude messages on his nieces and nephews' bedroom walls.
Oh, funny!
And posting pictures. Like he's just a rebel Tolkien.
He is. He's such a rebel.
And he's just having fun with it. But Royd has gone through a intense time these last few years with the loss of his brother through a very degenerative disease.
ALS.
And raising some funds to fulfill his brother's wish list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yes.
You know, what do they call that list of things you need to do before you die?
A bucket list.
A bucket list.
Yeah.
So, Royd Tolkien actually published his dying brother's bucket list and said, "I will fulfill my brother's bucket list." And so that's what he's been doing. And so anything that Royd Tolkien does to vent some of this energy, have fun with it, have you know, bring some weird, positive, you know, fun stuff, even if it's, you know, maybe a little weird or crude. He knows his family best, and I commend Royd Tolkien's journey right now.
Vicky says it's an awesome idea, Justin. I'd read that book about growing up Tolkien.
Yeah.
Growing Up Tolkien. An appropriate title, but not a very good title, but that you gets the idea. But yeah, how about that? Learning the secret life of being a child of a literary professor and a literary marvel who became so adored around the world. What was it like growing up there?
Yeah,
I'd love to know.
Tolkien.
Do you know what? That might give the filmmakers a chance. What if one set of filmmakers make one biography about Tolkien in his early 20s, going to war at the Battle of the Somme in the French mainland and fighting in World War I, but the other filmmakers might make a purely different point of view from the point of view of Priscilla, John, and Christopher, and let the children have that point of view, telling what they remember about their father, what that was like.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Totally.
You know what? Taking these ideas, if anybody out there needs to hire a screenwriter to write a biopic about Tolkien, who should you think? Who should
Everyone
you ask
wants
for?
to read something like that. Hey, let me ask you this.
I think that'd be a great gig. That would be a great job to have.
Would Tolkien's Father Christmas Letters make a good Netflix series?
Oh, yes. Yes! Oh, by all means, the Father Christmas Letters would, among many of the lesser-known works of Tolkien, yes, a resounding 100%. Yeah, a great little Netflix series about the Father Christmas Letters. That would be a gift to mankind. It would be a gift to all of us as Tolkien fans. That would be awesome. Children would love it. I can't read what Pete says.
Did you see the Castlevania Netflix series?
I did. I watched all of it. Yes,
starring Graham McTavish and Richard Armitage.
Richard Armitage. Yes,
that's amazing. Two Hobbit actors in the Castlevania series, and it's short.
Playing Trevor Belmont.
It's 20 minutes long, right? You can get through it in a couple hours.
Trevor Belmont.
It's very rated R.
It is so good, though. Yeah, Castlevania. This is meant to be just an opening. You know, these 4 episodes are basically an introduction to the world and the characters, and right when the characters get together, and it's all juicy good, and you're like, oh, this is our team. It's going to be so great. It's over. And you gotta wait. You know, what is the number one rule of show business? Besides, never work with kids or animals. But what's the number one rule of show business? Always leave them wanting more.
That's right. And I want more of Castlevania.
That might be the problem with The Hobbit. That might have been the problem with The Hobbit. The Lord of the Rings did not have that problem. The Lord of the Rings left people always wanting more.
Yeah.
And The Hobbit, maybe.
Even Marfols, everyone in the chat room says Castlevania
it
was surprisingly good. Yes, it was surprisingly
Castlevania was surprisingly good.
But
Belmont,
look, there's so
Trevor,
many
Belmont.
things. And everyone wants to talk about when are they going to make a Silmarillion TV show, or when are they, when are they going to do this? It's like I don't actually want more, epic movies or TV series. I want to take everything else that it is creative about Tolkien. I want a biography about what it was like growing up with Tolkien, since he was such a good family man and he was such an honest friend that he helped C.S. Lewis rediscover religion, and he helped C.S. Lewis publish or write and publish, and he's like, get this out. And in fact, and then C.S. Lewis flipped the script and said, hey man, I am making so much money off my Narnia books, you really should publish that Lord of the Rings thing. So it was like a reverse, like, I want to.
He was getting support. His publisher was also telling him, we want this Lord of the Rings thing. And C.S. Lewis was helping proofread that Lord of the Rings thing. So here's the funny position. Do you think it's a conflict of interest that C.S. Lewis would later on write the big literary reviews in the major newspapers after helping Tolkien draft and write the damn thing in the first place? Intriguing. Do you think that's a slight possible conflict of interest? But it worked out rather well. Their friendship is famous for this. I'm telling you, I'm excited about the idea of getting into the life of Tolkien, and I wonder what these filmmakers are going to do. I wonder what they're going to do. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Oh yes, I see that. Oh wait, hi Satine. Wait, is Satine Phoenix here on our show? Justin, am I reading that right? Was that Satine coming in there to chit-chat? We've got a Facebook chat, and Justin's making some adjustments to the screen. Hello, Jen. Hello, Scott Weir. Hello, everybody. Yeah, there we are, 360. Moving around this room. Oh, look. This 360 thing is amazing. Yes, it is. Vicky says I need more Castlevania in my life. Next to Dracula, Treasure is my favorite character. I'm sending you some of my air conditioning Eru so that you don't melt. Yes. Scott Weir says Hobbit jumped the shark. Maybe. Yes. Cliff, what kind of funds would be needed to get the Unicorn Edition going? Scott, that's an interesting question that we should send an email to our friend Michael Pellerin, the director and producer of all the behind-the-scenes content.
Who's been on this show?
Who has been on our show, one of our best shows. Scott Weir is like, what's the budget that would be needed to get the Unicorn Edition going? That includes all the missing stuff that Peter has been holding on to for 16 years? You know what, Justin? That's probably, I don't know, what? High six figures? Do you think that would be high six figures or a low,
it's
low
more
seven
than that.
figures?
It's more than that, and
it's more than that. Yes, it's more than that.
I don't think. I think it'll be another 7 years before we get it. We've had that. Like, there have been entities like the Legion M that have approached Warner Brothers and Peter Jackson's people to like fund the Unicorn Edition. But I think they're just holding off. Peter is intent on holding off 20 years. So 2000.
So it could be an anniversary.
So 2003. That means 2023 at the earliest. 2023 at the earliest is when we can expect that. So look, hey, Kate, you're watching Dracula Untold. I love Dracula Untold. starring Bard the
Thank you.
Bowman.
Thank you, Grace Ann. I
And-
love this shirt too. Yeah, Bard the Bowman in Dracula Untold. I haven't even seen Dracula Untold. Have you
It's
seen
amazing, and it's better than Tom Cruise as the Mummy.
it? Is it?
Yeah, like
And that was the first doorway into Dark Universe.
Well, turns out that they're disregarding Dracula Untold, so Luke Evans is not officially part
but it was
of
supposed
the
to
Dark
be.
Universe.
It was supposed to be the relaunch of Dark Universe.
I know, but they changed their minds, and so the Dracula Untold, Bard the Bowman, Luke Evans is not part of the Dark Universe anymore,
Oh.
which is so stupid. He
That
was
is so stupid.
good in it.
Wow.
Um,
That's stupid.
So, look, Clark Kent makes a good point about the Unicorn Edition. Peter Jackson has all the money in the world. He could fund it himself.
That's true. He could directly, privately fund it himself.
Yeah. So, look, there's so much that we can do that is not a rehash. Look, how many times have fans complained about Disney re-releasing movies every 7 years, and George Lucas doing 10 different, every time Star Wars comes out, there's a new tweak to it. Every time The Lord of the Rings comes out, there's a new tweak to it.
No, Lord of the Rings hasn't come out since it was extended editioned.
Oh, are you kidding? There we've got message board posts about this shot was color timed differently, and this shot is more green than it used to be. There is side by
Really?
side. Yeah, remember the Costa Botes versions of the movies came out, and they included a weird color graded version, and they. You guys, some of you guys must remember in the chat room that there's been some releases of Lord of the Rings that were different than the original DVD ones. Look,
No, I haven't seen what there was the theatrical, DVD and Blu-ray, and extended DVD and Blu-ray. That's it.
Scott says 2023 is just over 5 years away. Let that sink in for a minute. You don't have to tell me. Look, JPL NASA says that we're not going to have any glaciers in Glacier National Park by 2025.
That's right.
Think about that.
I really should go with you.
This is intense.
I really should go with
like
you.
where I was already excited for this road trip and hopefully seeing some of you guys, Pippin and a lot of the northern. We've gone to Texas so many times. I regret not going through Texas. Hey, we could change our minds and we could go through Texas. I don't know yet. Maybe Graceland will be closed the week that we decide to go there. Maybe Jesse James' house is closed. But so Texas is still on the table. We just maybe we're definitely doing Denver.
Just maybe.
But I think what happened last weekend at Charlottesville and all of the protests that are being planned right now.
Yep.
In
This
every
weekend.
city.
Yep.
Every city across the country. This weekend, next weekend, the weekend after, and definitely Labor Day weekend, Dragon Con weekend.
Yep.
I mean, this is everyone's going to spend every free day that they have in some sort of protest on both sides. I have a feeling this is just going to be a crazy time to be driving across America. So
Yes, it will be.
I'm kind of tempted, like from Cleveland, maybe going a little more east and dropping through Virginia and the Carolinas. But I just don't know how crazy it's going to be. Like they're pulling down all of these old Confederate statues and stuff, which they should. But it's like what's going to happen? What's Kentucky going to be like in West Virginia right now? Like
Wowzer.
like I just
You're not going to go looking for any hot spots, are you? Is this going to be
No.
Is this going to be the first torn political tour of the country?
No, I don't want
Okay.
to. No,
Oh, I didn't think so.
Like, look,
No,
next
no,
weekend,
no, okay.
next weekend, we're definitely in the mountains of Yellowstone preparing for the eclipse.
This is going to be a
then
nature study, not a geopolitical study.
Yeah.
We want to have the natural world under our cameras, right? Just to let you guys know
Yeah.
that we do expect conversations to be different, though. Maybe the conversations among fans are going to be interesting and different. I'm sure that we're going to be looking for what common ground we can find, because that's usually where my heart is. When we find common ground together as fans, remember the road trip we took where we had a wonderful Cracker Barrel breakfast?
That's right.
With a pastor from a beautiful church community.
Yes.
Way down south.
And
Someone-
what was
someone who-
supposed to be an hour-long conversation turned into 3 hours.
Couldn't be more diametrically opposed from me politically or culturally, and yet nothing but love and brotherhood, finding the appreciation of Tolkien's messages and how storytelling, which is what it comes down to,
Yeah.
is how we find power and meaning in our lives through the storytelling that's in front of us.
Yeah.
You know, to some degree, the Bible, or a holy book that becomes part of a religious scripture, takes storytelling to the ultimate level, where the impact of those words help define people's spiritual lives and physical lives day to day. That is a great example of how storytelling can become one of the most powerful elements in human life. So that J.R.R. Tolkien, who was a deep religious Catholic, the fact that Tolkien should succeed and can succeed as a secular writer, published with a secular story, that still brings people together and lets them find their common humanity for each other.
That's right.
Without Tolkien beating a religious message over your head, is something of a miracle. Because not even C.S. Lewis could do that. C.S. Lewis was very busy beating you and beating the children,
Right.
beating the children over the head with religious messages. Tolkien was not interested in that. And yet, we find that stuff in Tolkien's world that opens up our minds and our hearts in a whole new way.
Caroline,
It's a great success
You're
for
in
Tolkien.
southeast Pennsylvania. If I go through Pennsylvania, I would definitely be going through Allentown.
Yes.
I love Allentown for some reason. I love that
Must
they
be that
turned.
Billy Joel song.
I love that they turned the old factory that Billy Joel was singing about. They closed the old the steel factory,
Yep.
and they turned it into a Harrah's casino.
Gosh.
So all of the retirees that live on a pension from the steel mill are spending all their money back at the same location as the steel mill, because that's where they built the Harrah's. If you're near there. Caitlin Griffin says, I remember the Cracker Barrel. Yeah, that was fun.
Caroline says if you hit southeast Pennsylvania before Dragon Con, it'd be awesome to hang out.
That's right. Virginia, everyone says Virginia looks like the Shire. It does. I have family that used to own farms out in Virginia, Alexandria. We had about 120 acres along a little river. We raised cows. Or my family raised cows, and he hand built his whole two-story house plus a basement, and that's where I learned how to cow tip, and that's where I learned a lot of fun stuff. Virginia is amazing, but West Virginia is beautiful.
Yes.
And every time I go to West Virginia, I only stay in Howard Johnson's, because there's just something about West Virginia that it's so old that it hasn't
vintage
caught
Hojo.
up with anything. Like, I'm only staying at a Hojo.
Vintage Hojo.
Because they don't exist like that anywhere else.
That's true, they don't. Oh my gosh, I didn't believe they still had them open. Scott Weir, yes, in that video with Peter Jackson polishing his Oscars and talking to his daughter, where Doctor Who comes running through the background with a Dalek chasing after him. Yes, that copy of the Silmarillion that was visible in that video clip is a joke. Yes, Peter Jackson was just messing with us. Yes, it was all a snicker, winky, winky doodle, elbow in the ribs joke. That's all that was.
Philadelphia?
And I'm surprised that how many years later, we're still talking about it?
Yeah.
We're not. No, there's no Silmarillion. It's not going to happen. Sorry. The
No.
Tolkien estate, the family estate.
Oh, wow, you're near Philadelphia.
Controlling
That's
the rights.
way east. I'm totally not
Sorry.
going.
I'm sorry.
I'm not going to Philadelphia. That's way east. Where's I've been to Hershey. I've been to Elizabethtown, because that was Orlando Bloom's first movie after Lord of the Rings.
Elizabethtown,
It was
that's right.
Elizabethtown.
Pete Northrunner says that I read that Billy Joel was actually singing about Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, but he used the name Allentown because if he sang, well, I'm living here in Bethlehem, people would think it was a Christmas song.
I will correct.
Ah!
I will correct you there. He's singing about Allentown because Bethlehem Steel was the name of the company. Bethlehem had made a company town called Bethlehem, Pennsylvania,
That's
but
funny.
they moved most of their operations to Allentown. So Bethlehem Steel is where is in Allentown proper, and Bethlehem Steel is where they built the Harrah's. If you look up Harrah's Casino, you'll see that it's on the old Bethlehem Steel plant in Allentown.
Okay.
It's
okay.
disgusting.
Okay.
Caitlin Griffin says, great movie, Elizabethtown. Why does everybody hate Elizabethtown?
I've
then?
never seen it, to be honest.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen Elizabethtown.
I thought
Sorry.
it's one of the first. What do they call that? What do they call that type of woman? Manic pixie dream girl. I think it's like a stereotype, a trope, a film.
Negasonic
trope.
teenage nuclear warhead. What?
Yeah,
What?
that's basically like it
What?
was. Elizabethtown was one of the first movies that romanticized the manic pixie dream girl, or something like that.
Manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah, there's a type. It's the same. It's the same girl that, or it's the same type of character that the new girl, plays all the time.
Oh.
Zoe Deschanel.
Okay. Goodbye, Marfels. We love you. Thanks for being part of the show.
Yes. Thank
Excellent. You know what? I'm just so intrigued by this. I'm gonna have to come in to the show. I mean, while you're broadcasting live, my friends,
Oh,
I'm
Allentown
gonna
is way
come
over
into
there.
the live stream during the Road to Dragon Con as much as
Wow,
I
if
can.
I do Allentown, I might as well do.
Oh, Scott.
Philadelphia.
Yes, Scott. We are following up with you, Scott. I know that, Cliff. I'm
Wait,
sorry.
where?
I know,
Wait,
I know you
someone
know.
said they're in Maryland. Where in Maryland are you?
I was asking if you think, despite Jackson saying he's done with Middle-earth films, that given the chance, would he want anyone else to take the helm after what happened with
The
Del
short
Toro?
answer, we will see new Peter Jackson Middle-earth when he needs the money. That's the only reason we got.
I'm with you on that point. Yes, sir.
Like,
I'm with
the
you
only
on that.
reason that George Lucas made the special editions, and the only reason George Lucas made the prequels, is that his accountant said, hey man, you have ILM, you have all these companies, you have LucasArts and Lucaslights, like, you have all these games, Lucas Publishing, you need money. You're out of money. Like, you've been operating at a loss. And I have a feeling that if Weta stops, if Weta has a couple off years, and is in between projects, or is taking a long time on Avatar, and there's no money to be made on Avatar until it comes out, I think if push comes to shove and Peter Jackson needs money to support Weta and Park Road Post and all the other companies that are under Peter Jackson's tutelage,
Good point.
he'll jump in the mix, and that's when we'll get the Unicorn Edition.
You know what? Scott says, guess we won't be seeing any more films then. Well,
Yeah.
no, I think Peter might actually go into it. My opinion, coupled with Justin's opinion, just
Wikipedia
unusual.
is on the internet, and the internet lies. I have to tell, like, Pete, you're trying to point to Wikipedia saying you're wrong. I'm like, no, I'm not wrong.
You guys are gonna still
I've been
be
to
talking
Billy
about this
Joel's
Billy Joel
house.
song.
I've like,
All
I
right.
know the story behind this.
I'm gonna answer you, Scott Weir. I believe that the studio may want to make money before Peter Jackson decides he needs to make money. Like you said, AT&T just bought Warner Brothers.
That's right.
And they're going to want their money back on their investment. So I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Jackson doesn't want to direct or helm the project himself. Maybe he'll executive produce and hand it over to somebody else. And the projects that we might see in the near future, I think, are going to be stuff that is cultivated from the appendices in the back of the Return of the King book. That's right. I really suspect that we'll see stories about whatever that happened in between The Hobbit and The War of the Ring, and stuff that is extracted from Tolkien's little bits of story and historical notes. That's in Appendix A, the Annals of the Kings and Rulers, Appendix A mostly. And there's a bunch of other stuff in Appendix B as well. So that's what I think.
Hey, Scott Looker says, Tolkien wrote, The Lord of the Rings is, of course, a fundamentally religious and Catholic work. Unconsciously so at first, but consciously in the revision.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe there is some very... Yeah, there... indeed, I find that it has been discussed even by Tolkien himself in his letters, that Tolkien said he had strong elements of Catholic thought and Catholic ideology, even the Lord's Prayer, which becomes exemplified in the triangulation of Sam, Frodo, and Smeagol, Gollum. The relationship between Gollum attacking and betraying Frodo, and Frodo having the forbearance and the foresight to say, I forgive you. But if you ever touch me again, you will be cast yourself into the fires of doom. Is an extrapolation of the Lord's Prayer, where every Catholic would recite, since they were small children, and everybody knows the Lord's Prayer. Of course, even Protestants know the Lord's Prayer. It's like, forgive us our debts, or forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. All that stuff is in the relationship of Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, because Sam says, you should really kill Gollum, and Frodo says no. And he forgives him, even with that final attack outside of Shelob's lair.
Yeah.
And Gollum is therefore alive and able to be there at the moment when Frodo does give in to temptation, when Frodo ultimately does succumb to the power of the ring. And believe it or not, in a weird, wacky, reverse way, Gollum comes in, and by attacking Frodo at that moment of his ultimate temptation, Gollum's living self, who was allowed to live by the grace and forbearance of Frodo, well, Gollum is there to be the moment, the linchpin moment, that helps Frodo and redeems him and delivers him from evil at the end of that climactic dynamism. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that, because Tolkien was mindful, and let's just say that Professor Tolkien was a genius. Let's just say that Tolkien knew what he was doing. And therefore you'll find that Tolkien was very mindful of some of these Catholic ideas that are embedded in The Lord of the Rings and the fabric of that storytelling. Yes.
So, but, people keep bringing up, like, will Peter Jackson ever revisit Lord of the Rings or Middle-earth? Or,
I do
like, what do we
so.
do?
Yeah.
And,
I do believe so.
look, success is a double-edged sword. And, it reminds me of, remember Ricky Nelson? The pop star from the 50s, Ricky Nelson.
Of course.
Hello, Mary Lou.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
And then in the I think it was in the 70s or 80s, Ricky Nelson, came out with another song that charted top 10 called Garden Party. And the whole song is about being a pop star that's invited to a garden party, a concert at Madison Square Garden, and all the audience wants is to hear the hits you played when you were 21 years old. So everyone hates, the song is about Rick Nelson coming to terms with, like, everybody hates how he looks, how he sounds, and that he doesn't play bubblegum pop anymore, and he plays more country, versus Chuck Berry, who comes out singing like he should, and dancing like he should. So, I think everybody that's had success, whether it's films, television, or music, always deals with, like, they don't they don't have to work for the rest of their life because they found success early on. Yeah. So they can't, they love that part, but it's not that Peter Jackson will never will avoid Tolkien or Lord of the Rings for the rest of his life. It's like, no, you just get inspired and you jump back in.
My mom loves Ricky Nelson. There you go, Sarah. There you go. Pipsky says Garden Party wasn't the Beatles?
Rick Nelson.
It was Ricky Nelson.
It was Ricky Nelson.
Imagine what stories we would have had if Tolkien didn't have to work as a professor of language and
I think the
early
only
English.
reason
I agree, Scott.
Look, I think the only reason we got Lord of the Rings is because Tolkien needed the money. And the only reason that we got Bakshi's animated film and Peter Jackson's films is because Tolkien needed the money. Like, everyone thinks that creativity, happens just because people want to be creative. It's like, no, we got the movies and we actually got the books because Tolkien needed the money.
Listen to this guy. You guys were...
You know it to be true. We've talked about this on the letters.
No, at this point, when Bakshi and Peter Jackson were making movies, Tolkien was dead. He didn't need the money.
He sold the movie rights.
At that point, it was the Berkeley company, Tolkien Enterprises, that was making decisions on what to do with the license. And that licensing did not backtrack to money for the estate. That's why the lawsuits came up later when, when New Line Cinema made so many billions of dollars $3 billion worldwide for 3 Lord of the Rings movies. No wonder the Tolkien estate was like, excuse us, where's our slice? Since you're using and abusing our father's work.
It's interesting. We should do a whole episode about all the lawsuits that have affected Middle Earth and Tolkien,
Okay.
because it's been movies, actors, publishers, writers, studios.
Indeed. Aliana, the Silmarillion movie, though. What do you guys think about if Peter Jackson or someone else,
I think it would work.
or someone else to do it? No, it won't be. It shouldn't be movies. I think that should be an anthology TV series.
Yeah, every season, maybe use the same actors every season, but every season is a different story from the Silmarillion. Maybe it's the same actors in different roles.
There are major chunks of the Silmarillion
Just like American
that
Horror
cross
Story.
thousands of years of time. I think an anthology series would be much, much more fruitful, not movies. And who should be involved? You know what? Any number of creative, talented people can get involved, but I guarantee you, at the top of it, Peter Jackson will be supervising producer or overriding.
That's right.
Supervising producer
Because
over all of it. Whoever comes into
And
that.
I think that's because the fans, the fans, will demand that anybody, if anything happens with Lord of the Rings,
Yep.
or Middle Earth, or the Silmarillion, or anything, that the fans will demand that Richard Taylor and Weta Workshop or in Weta Digital are involved in some capacity.
It would be really, really cool if it ever happens, and this is a far hypothetical stretch, my friends. How about if the Tolkien estate somehow releases the Silmarillion rights to be made into a big anthology TV series? It would be great to have Cate Blanchett, before she gets too old to play the part, it would really be great for her to play the original
What do you mean?
Galadriel.
She doesn't age. She looks younger in the new Thor Ragnarok than she did in Lord of the Rings.
But how many complaints are levied against Orlando Bloom looking chunky in the face and looking older in the Hobbit films and not looking like his 19-year-old self in the Lord of the Rings?
Looking like he should.
Looking like he should.
Rick
Singing
Nelson.
like he should. Ricky Nelson. Okay, you guys, this has been a fantastic show.
Yes.
As always.
I
Thank
can't
you
wait
very
to see
much.
some of you. Look, my
Say goodbye
my map is
to me for 3 weeks.
constantly in flux. So I don't know exactly where I'm going to go or whatever, but I'm going to make every effort. I want to see as many of you as possible. And for you guys coming to Dragon Con, I can't wait to see you guys. And the wonderful gifts that you've sent, including the Balrog pop vinyl
Wonderful gifts,
that you can
yes.
see on our 360 video stream. Just spin it around on Facebook. I'm really excited. So I'm taking all the camera equipment with me and all the streaming equipment with me. So Cliff, you've basically
yes.
got 3 weeks off. I won't be back until the 9th. So I will stream from wherever I am in the world. Wherever I am, I will make an attempt. If there's internet signal, if I've got my phone and my 360, I'll be live. It may not be on all these platforms at the same time. I see you guys watching on YouTube right now.
Eravandi, those were not my words. I was not saying that Legolas looked chunky, but there were criticisms levied against Orlando Bloom that he did not look the same in The Hobbit as he did at his age.
That's right. So make sure you follow us on all the platforms: Facebook,
Anyways.
Instagram,
Yes.
Twitter,
You gotta
and
follow
YouTube.
this guy, yes, Mr.
So-
Justin. Will I get some opportunities to come in and be part of the
Absolutely.
stream
We're
as you-
we're trying to figure out all the technical jiggery pokery to
That'll
make
be
this
good.
happen.
That'll be so good.
next Tuesday, next Tuesday, the eclipse is Monday, so next Tuesday I should be in Yellowstone or Glacier National Park. Hey, wouldn't that be fun if we did an hour-long version of Torn Tuesday next Tuesday from the geysers at Yellowstone? Would you guys like that? Maybe see some bison?
Yes,
Like,
bison.
that
Make
could-
sure you exercise caution. How many people have been scalded to death at the hot springs
That's right.
in Yellowstone? How recently have we seen
I wish
stories
I
in
was coming.
the news?
I wish I was coming to Massachusetts as well. That's way too far north for me right now. I've been to Massachusetts 3 times before, and it's beautiful up there. But this is not a New England trip this time, unfortunately.
Pete says we could time Old Faithful like a clock. Yes,
That's
you could
right.
Time it. Yes.
So, and I can see how the world really has changed since we did our last road trip just a few short years ago. But I'm going to look for everything Tolkien. Maybe I can stop by the Tolkien library at that Illinois college and see your books, and maybe we can do a show from Tolkien's desk.
That'd be great.
Ooh, wouldn't that be fun?
You should call them up and tell them you're coming, though.
Yeah. Man, that'd be wonderful to do another stream from Tolkien's desk. Anyway,
it would be.
Thank you for joining us.
I will miss you guys for a few weeks, but I will be coming in to visit during the Road to Dragon Con. Dragon Con in Atlanta. If you're going, you know who you are. You're on your way there. This guy, he's going to have another fine feathered friend driving in the truck with him. His name is Chris, Mr. Saint. Christopher Saint, who is a celebrity body piercer, tattoo artist, an extraordinary talent.
And a very geek like us.
Such a deep-seated geek. And ladies, I think you'll enjoy him because he's pretty easy on the eyes. You ladies are going to enjoy the trip.
I don't know anything about
Yes, that's right. You always have
You're
to have...
a better judge than me on that.
I wouldn't know. I'm just saying, it's Chris Saint, the Drunk Shopping Network. He's got fans. Aaron Darling as well. All right, you guys are awesome. I will miss you, but I will be around.
And
okay?
tweet at me. Tweet at the
around.
One Ring Net. Tweet at Justin's Big Idea. If you
Thank
know
you,
of
Stephanie.
any Tolkien places or anything cool, actually, if you know any cool places that I should stop and see, like that was part of the magic of the road trips, is that people telling us where to go. Bilbo's Barbecue, the Tolkien Museum. We would have never stopped there if someone hadn't told us. So
I
please,
know, right? How cool
tweet
is that?
at the One Ring Net, post messages, and but thank you for joining us. We're running out of battery, and I will see you on the road.
Cheers, everybody.
Starting Thursday.
Thank you so much. Have a great week. Bye. And you can follow me at QuickBeam2000. And you can follow Justin at Justin's Big Idea. Bye.
Bye.
Bye there. Wow, all right. Ooh. How was that? That was a good show.
Feel my phone.